What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we are getting ready right now to begin our live session here today. If anyone is just joining us now on the replay, welcome. Glad you're here. So excited everyone's getting in here this morning. I'm really excited for today. We have the Chinese US phase one trade deal being signed at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. And I'm not sure how to read the market this morning. That's why I really want to get into the charts with you and see what's going on and find out what kind of clarity we can get together. We're going to get into that in just a moment. All right. I'm going to give everyone just a moment to get in here. I was a couple of minutes late this morning. I do apologize for that. And we're ready to get going right now. First thing I want to do is check in on Bitcoin, actually. I see it's rising right now. And it's coming up. I have this area over here as an area of the supply that I'm looking to take profits from this trade that we looked at on TradingView with the entry was this breakout and then this successful test of the broken resistance as support. And then price took us into the trade. That's looking really nice and healthy. Let's start over on the DXY. On the DXY, we're now falling into profit off of the resistance over here, but it seems to me that it's really only versus the euro that we're seeing most of this priced in. Why do I say that? If you look at the US dollar, Japanese yen, you could see that oh no, it's not just the euro. We have the yen also making gains. All right. But we do have the dollar making gains versus the Australian dollar versus the New Zealand dollar. Dollar is mixed, but making gains versus the British pound, and dollar's also making gains versus the Canadian dollar. So it's just the yen and the euro that are making gains right now on the dollar, but those are the two most heavily weighted in the dollar index. So the reason I'm focused in there right now this morning is just to point out that the dollar is mixed this morning, right? The dollar is mixed, even though we're seeing the DXY coming down and into the support area over here. See, we had that support marked earlier. Price is coming down into that support right now, and it looks like price is currently stalling in around it. Probably we're going to get some clarity at 2 points this morning. First, around the US equity opening, first 45 minutes of trading, and then of course after the signing of the trade deal. Nick, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Wow, it's only been a couple of minutes. I feel like we already got into it. I hope that I didn't get ahead of everyone. Basically, all that I've been noticing so far is that the dollar index is coming off the resistance, currently coming into the support we had down here, this light support. But the most important thing I'm noticing this morning, it's just this euro and the Japanese yen that are making the gains on the dollar. Everything else is either mixed or the dollar is stronger than. For example, the Canadian dollar, the commodity currencies, the New Zealand dollar, the Australian dollar. It's pretty much mixed, slightly gaining versus the pound. All right. Where does that put us? So I'm looking over here. I added this. This is like a light resistance. I added it this morning as a possible area to look to take profit. Are we seeing a topping pattern happen here on the euro US dollar? Well, we have what looks like maybe a short-term pattern here of a left shoulder, a possible head, and now maybe a right shoulder forming. We'll see. I have this area over here, this resistance, this light resistance, as an area for traders to lean into, to look to, maybe if they want to watch how price reacts around there, if we get up there for possibly taking profits. I have no idea what's going to happen this morning as far as the reaction to the markets for the US China trade deal. I noticed that the indices are coming off this morning. Because the indices are coming off this morning, I'm less inclined to see a sell the news type event unless the market's already beginning to price that in. But I don't think they would until actually the signing. So I am still inclined here. I did an update last night on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, to get long on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, if and when price takes me into the trade. I like that it's still holding up. There should be a support right over here. Still holding above this support line over here. Things structurally look pretty good. Um, I'm a little bit unclear about the overall direction this morning of the market. And because of that, I am inclined to figure out what's going on first and get a better read before I look for any entries. I know. Definitely, we have a worldwide community here, and good afternoon, good evening. What's going on, everyone? Um, so this morning, I actually had some time before we got on together, and I think the main focus that I had was that I'm a little bit unsure. I don't have a really good read on the markets right now, and because of that, again, I'm more inclined to wait until I do. I think that's really, really important thing as a trader to be able to be that type of self-aware, to have that type of perspective in insight. Um, and again, you're going to notice that in my analysis this morning, I'm just a little bit of unsure of what's next. Um, I still have this trade open, I just want to stress to you, as long as everything is still, a lot of traders get into a trade and then get out of it pretty quickly without giving it its proper time. Um, Although the trade is not falling into my favor, the trade is still holding up. The fact that the dollar index overall is falling into place is just, it inclines me to just keep going with the trade and giving its room and to see what happens. And nothing really more to say there. The Australian dollar, US dollar, it's come off this resistance level up here. Where is it coming back to? We have the support down here. This is pretty nice support. If this is able to, uh, again, I don't have a clear view of the market right now. The signing is at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Let's just get an update. That was where I looked yesterday. Sorry, 11:25 a.m. Eastern time. All right. We all know that Trump tends to be a little bit late for those type of things. A little bit of grandstanding he likes to put in. We'll see if that occurs or not. But so far, the time on the schedule is 11:25. I see gold rising up this morning. Australian dollar now starting to perhaps get a bid. Dollar should be coming off further, and it is coming off a little bit further. I'm seeing now the dollar going into the US equity opening now weakening versus everything. Just trying to just get my perspective, just try to verbalize what I see going on in order to get a better feel. And since I don't have an absolute confident read right now of what's going on, um, but I am watching the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and the Australian dollar, US dollar going into the signing. Because as you all know, I was expecting some type of sell the news type event, but we're not pumping into the signing itself. So now this may look like the opportunity to actually get long these commodity currencies. Going to wait and find out. And again, we have a big session ahead of us that will lead into the signing. So we'll be able to trade that live together as it happens. I like gold up here now that it has come back up into this trend line. I took a bite at it over here and got stopped out pretty quickly. And I'm standing aside. I'm not looking to get involved right now at all, one way or the other. So this is interesting here, seeing the pound Australian dollar up towards the resistance. This I like. Why? Well, if this resistance is able to hold, and you can see that there's pretty strong support over here, pretty decent support held there as resistance, broke through both ways. But if it holds again here as resistance, I like getting short here. I like getting short here, and I like taking this trade into the neckline, because by the time we reach the neckline, stop loss will be moved to break even. If price takes us back into that trade, and it would be a free trade with the possible break. I'm going to keep watching that one. That's the big trade of the day, right? The Swiss franc. So nice trade there. Broke down, actually started another leg down right now. Obviously, you got to be careful over there. Um, I mean, the Swiss franc has been the leader over this past week, really strengthening up. I don't know if that has any connection to the yuan strengthening. We are seeing the Swiss franc really strengthening this week, as well as the yuan going into the trade signing deal. Now, I know that two things. I know a lot of retail traders are actually long this pair. Good luck on shorting this pair. But I also know that a lot of professional traders are looking for a possible bottom here, and they're looking for the actual signing of the trade deal as a catalyst. So that doesn't really, provide too much clarity, but that's what's going on over here, and this could actually react pretty well. It's reacted very strongly going into the signing, and we'll see what happens afterwards. That'll be a pair to continue to watch. Let me keep going to. I wish I could give. Even though I don't have a better read on the market today, uh, again, I'm okay with that. I'm more than comfortable with that. I prefer being able to be able to understand when I do have a good read on the market and when I don't. And again, you all know that I'm really picky about my setups, looking for good ones. And if I'm not sure, um, then better to be on the sidelines waiting. And that's not to say that's not going to change real quick and that things are going to line up real quick. I know which way I'm leaning, and if things like that happen, then I'll be glad to take advantage. Euro climbing back up now over here. We're seeing Euro US dollar strength, so strength in the euro. Um, Japanese yen is I guess mixed today. Weak versus the euro, stronger against the pound, stronger against the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. So it's definitely quite mixed. So I do notice that the dollar is mixed against currencies, and the Japanese yen is mixed against currencies. That also makes a little more sense why I'm a little bit cloudy and not seeing anything lining up. That's crystal clear right now because the market itself is mixed. Let's take a look. I have no idea. Then we'll come back over here. Let's look at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. 65772. Yep. Very good support over there. Good support read over there. And price is leaning into that right now. So you're talking about shorting the pair now as we're coming into the support. So just two things. This is really good for us to look at. I know I'm on the 8 hour here, but what I'm looking at is the support line that you noted, which I see off the resistance here. I see the touches down there, and those are touches of the wicks, and that's a good place to put it. But look, that's more of a blue box. And why I say that is you see this is where the close of the candles were, up here and over here, right? So, oops. There you go. There's the close of the candles over here. So this area over here that you're looking at, which right now support looks like it's holding over here. So I think you're looking to buy off support, but you're looking to sell that. I think if you get below that support, then that opens up the door for perhaps selling, and you have the next support down much lower. You have one over here as well. I think that's more of an important support. Let me move this up. But while you're above this support line here, I think that the trade is to look for buying. I think if you do get into a long entry over here, then you're then looking at this area over here where my mouse is horizontally, which is a trend line, is a resistance line, and then also this trend line here, both acting as resistance. And that's not to say that we wouldn't climb back up into that pattern. We see that happen often, and then you'd be looking a little bit higher. But you're looking to buy off support. If you step back a second, let me look even on the daily. We're in a nice uptrend here. We're in a nice uptrend, and this is support now. And this is something in a level you could be looking to lean into to buy off of. Yep. If we do break that support, then absolutely that's a good level to begin looking to get short over here. Just one thing I have ingrained in my head that's really helpful though is until support or resistance breaks, I assume it's going to hold. And then after it breaks, I simply look for the retest, and if it holds, as price gets me back in, that's when I enter. But absolutely, I would say if you get below this support over here, that you could definitely look to begin shorting in comfortably. Rustin, all I knew is that the ruble is selling off on that news. That's all that I'm aware of. I'm not aware of any of the details. And I mean, when I read that the ruble was selling off, I just thought to myself, it's probably a good buying opportunity. Um, not that I would. And if I were buying the ruble, there's a nice carry on that. I believe Russia has no debt. They own a bunch of gold. They're big oil producers. Big gas producers. I think that owning the ruble long term is a good play. That would be a long term investment, and I think that today's sell off on the ruble just provides an opportunity to get in for the long term. Yeah, it's amazing how whether you're looking at Elliott waves or numerous other indicators, how they kind of all fib retracement levels, how they kind of all line up, but mostly around the support and the resistance. I like to keep things simple. Let me put in a fib retracement over here. Where could I find a fib retracement? There we go. Fib retracement. Let's take a look. I was curious whether or not this support down here was lining up with a fib, but it's not. I don't see it. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I'm sorry, US dollar, Japanese yen. Let's take a look at her. I see the dollar is really coming off right now. Come back to that 1 second. That looks good. We're going to look at the US dollar, Japanese yen 1 second. So this is definitely now falling into profit well. And not only that, I see the dollar now strengthening versus all currencies. Whereas before it was mixed. Looks pretty good. Looks like we're getting finally into some clarity. I like that. I like that all around. All right, now let's look at the US dollar, Japanese yen. So you could see that we broke out here. We've come up and now are testing this broken resistance, and it looks to be holding our support. We know we have dollar strength coming into the market. This looks pretty good right over here. This is a good level for people to be taking longs. If you are short, what? See, I can't trade off the 1 hour here. Listen, for me, I love this setup and the fact that you have the broken resistance is now looks to be holding as support. I like getting long here the dollar, only if price starts making higher highs. And again, if it comes during one of my preferred sessions, that is New York or London. And so right now, I don't see an entry happening anytime soon. Maybe later in the session. The dollar still has a lot of room to go. The dollar is just getting started if this wave continues, right? Our next support area that we're looking at, where we have, uh, I would say right around here at 97 is the first place to start looking, and then we have, of course, down here at 96.71. Right now, things look good. We have a big catalyst happening in the market today, though, and that is obviously the signing of the phase one deal. And then as soon as it's signed, the market's going to be looking, and it's already starting to, and it's going to be saying, well, you know, is, how big of a deal is this deal? Is it even really a deal? I think even the market realizes this is kind of like a weak truce, um, and people are believing that the U.S. is going to start ratcheting up pressure on China again right away. I mean, I don't think so. I think that again, I think Trump wants to get reelected, so that's why this truce is even happening right now. And U.S. dollar, Japanese yen looks pretty good there. Technically, you're coming in and you're testing the support. I don't take the trade as price comes into the support. I always wait for confirmation, and that's price coming back into the trade. Jam side, MHB, you got wrecked. What's going on, everyone? What's going on, guys? This looks good. This consolidation here above this support looks really good. Um, and there's not much else to say about it except that it's continues to hold up solid, but it is caught a little bit sideways, which means that when we do get a break, always consolidation leads to expansion, that we might get some movement. It's just that, trying to time that movement before it happens is a little difficult, right? And here's an example. Here's some consolidation, and then there's the break. Consolidation leads to expansion, right? Consolidation, expansion. So we are consolidating now. A big move is getting ready to set up. It's just a question of timing that move. You don't really want to be caught in something that's sideways, waiting for a move, because you have no edge then knowing which way before you break. You got wrecked. That's a great point. And first of all, I don't think they are. Probably what's happening is probably you know most of the U.S. population is distracted. We were talking yesterday about Mike Maloney's videos, and in them he talks about the Roman Empire and the bread and circuses. It's the same thing that's happening here in the United States. Obviously, the public is distracted by the entertainment and whatever. I don't even know what they watch these days or who they follow, but it's all a big distraction, right? And they're just simply distracted. Um, like the public has really no idea what's going on, right? We all know that, and that's done on purpose. And I guess it's just the way it is. All right. What else do you guys want to look at? What else are you guys looking at? Obviously, we're seeing dollar strength come in here and peeking in. We have just a few minutes to the market opening. Again, that's always a time when you want to watch to see whether or not you get further expansion of the trend that's taking place or a reversal. The first 40 minutes of the market open are a big deal. Um, that that was the when I said I don't know what they're following. Kardashians is what popped into my mind, but I don't even know if that's still a thing or not. We are seeing the dollar definitely weakening here. So there was signs of the consumer coming off in the US. I think Target had bad holiday sales. Target is it's a retail store that a lot of people like to shop in. A lot of people love Target, and their sales were down during the holidays. That's a sign that the consumer is weakening. Obviously, the consumer's credit card debt is at really high levels. That's another bad sign, and maybe that could be the reason for the dollar weakness this morning. Sometimes it's a question of fitting a narrative. Obviously, we were following technically what's happening here. Again, I'm aware what I'm trying to make myself aware of. I see over down here. I thought we put in a support over there. Let me add that in. Why we're looking for the dollar to continue tweaking right here. Um, I am aware we have this trend line over here, and on the downside, it was a little bit easier for me. I was like, if we break below this support line and this trend line, then I know at that point I'm really weak dollar. But step back, and in my opinion, we're in a bull flag, and we're gonna break to the upside. And again, I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's what I think. That's what I'm leaning towards. So what I'm watching for over here right now is, do we make it to this support? Right? Does that hold, and then we come back up into this trend line? Only because I'm aware of a possible pretty big catalyst today, and that's the signing of the trade deal. And anyway, we're just watching things unfold. That's why we have the charts. You got me. You guys got me. Australian dollar, US dollar. So I noticed that the boom 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 the commodity current so the euro is the strongest versus the dollar. The the commodity currencies were lagging behind the Canadian dollar, the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. They seem over the last 15 minutes to be really picking up. All right, let's look at the 15 minutes. You could see, well, this is over the last 30 minutes. The last 30 minutes, the two price bars, they're really picking up. Dollar's weakening. Um, do I want to get long here? I'm leaning towards the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. They both look very similar. The Australian dollar, US dollar. Anyone buying over here, it looks pretty good, right? I don't It looks pretty good. If you get it, you have to get above this resistance to be really happy about the trade. Um, with the possibility, because we came off so far overnight, I like I have less in my mind the possibility of this being a sell the news type event, and maybe it's going to actually be a really risk on type event now. Maybe the market's going to have a few days of euphoria, and if that happens, right now you do want to be looking to get long Australian dollar pairs. Is price taking you in right here? You start making higher highs, it looks better and better. Again, you do have this resistance right above you. Until you clear above here, there's some work to do. Same thing here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. You're trading right above resistance, but you get above it. On both pairs, you get above that resistance, you could be off to the races after this, after this big breakout. See, look at my mouse. I know it's all the way up here, which is another almost 100 pips up, 90 pips up. But you get above there, and then we got some room to fly. So picking an entry down here off this pullback and into support could be a good thing. I am looking at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I still have live orders if they go ahead and are able to trigger, and that would be into resistance. And you all know I'm not a fan of that. This, I'm willing to take an exception today with what's going on and the event that's happening. We'll look at the euro, Swiss franc next. I'm not sure what you're talking about, removing the line in Team Viewer. We're not using Team Viewer. Trading. Are you talking about TradingView? Okay. This is to remove the line. You just go over here to this cross, to this top icon, and then click on the line, double click it, and then press delete. So you can't delete the line unless you're on this cross, or you can't delete the line if you're on the trend line. Like if you're on this icon, you can't delete the line. Just click over there and you could delete it. All right. Euro. So we're trading towards the bottom of this channel over here. You could see that support, it's holding. We're coming off that support. And, again, yesterday we were looking at this and we were saying this might be a good area to take profits. As far as buying off there, maybe that's very counter trend. Euro's got a bid under it today. That looks to be continuing. Swiss franc, I don't know what's going to happen. It's been very strong. Eventually it's got to come off, but I think this is more of just a take profit area. Yeah, again, yesterday we were looking at that and saying this is a take profit area. That's where we are right now. And it's a counter, you're coming off of support. Not saying it's the wrong place to buy if someone's looking to buy it, but I would not be looking to short down here. We are now just a few minutes in, and the dollar weakness is continuing and looks pretty strong right now. Looks pretty strong. I'm looking around, and I do have open long Euro US dollar trades. I want to know where to if I'm I want to know if I'm holding this further or to be on guard. So I think we're as we're clearing down right now, I think the next level of interest to watch is going to be down here around 97, and on the Euro US dollar, I don't know where that would translate to. I have this light resistance above, so I'm watching that level right now. All right, where are we this morning? What other pairs are people looking at that they're interesting? The euro is putting on some nice gains against the Australian dollar. Back above this support here. So this looks like obviously this is something that could continue. This would be an area of interest. If price gets back up around here, that would be a strong area of interest. As you could see, we've come up there and never been able to make it above there. I wonder if that has anything to do with the swap. I'm not sure. We'll keep watching, but I'm not looking for any type of play over here. But if we do make it up as far as here, this would really get on my watch list. Maria, that's a great point. That's a great point because I mean everyone I know, including myself, looks to Amazon, not really to get in the car and go down to the shopping center and check out the Target. But Amazon's the first place I look, and you're right. They're destroying first the mom and pop stores, and now it looks to me like you're right. They're taking a bite out of the bigger retail stores as well. Let's take a look at the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Six three four nine six six three. So again, good support level. good support. Oh, there it is too over here. Good support level you drew in. I was just looking over in this area, and then you could see, as you just noticed, you're trading over there. So this definitely looks like a downtrend is definitely intact here, or beginning. Now you are at support over here, so it's kind of like one of the important places. Let me change this over to resistance. This is a really good pair to look at. First step back. Let me look on the daily with you all. All right, we have this. First of all, this isn't a huge downtrend. But then we broke out of this trend line to the upside. Since we broke out of the trend line, once we violated this trend line, that's when you have to really be cautious. And you can see now we've come through this support and into this support over here now. All right, we have to extend this line over here, because if you do short below this support over here, this is going to come into play for you. And then also horizontally, where my mouse is right now, you see another support. Those two are going to kind of converge. That would be an area you need to watch if you get short down over here. So what I like better though is two things. If you get back up and test this resistance, which is a broken support, and then price resumes down, that looks like a better place to get short. I know you're looking below this support, and yeah, below their support too. I think that you could also look at getting short, but I think below this support line over here, once this broke, I think now you could look to get short, and which would have to mean another retest up here. And if you get a look at price coming up into this resistance and then the resistance holds, price resumes downwards, that's a good short. I would feel comfortable taking that short, and it looks like it would be a good place to get short. If you regain this broken support, this now resistance line, and price gets back above it, I would be bullish this pair again. I would turn bullish. So this is the line in the sand right here. This is the important one. And if you get back above this, I would become bullish on the pair once again. And while you're below it though, if you get the opportunity to look at price testing into this and then coming down, I think you could get short. And finally, I would even, if we get down as far as this trend line over here, again, you have some horizontal support. My mouse is also at that time, and that held. I would also consider getting long there as well then. Is the US dollar Canadian dollar sell? I have to tell you, I'm in that trade short, and the momentum has not followed. So, you know, I took the short off of price coming into this resistance and then making lower lows, and I've been holding it over here since. Price is still right now just even above my entry by a handful of pips, and I think that if you start making lower lows here and the dollar weakness continues, it could be, but it doesn't look great, I'll tell you that much. Right now it doesn't look great. And I think that the Australian dollar, if the Canadian dollar is going to resume downwards today, so is the Australian dollar going to resume upwards. And because of the China connection, I would lean towards the Australian dollar today. So let's see which one is leading. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. Which of those two is stronger today? The Canadian dollar. All right. So then I stand corrected. Then perhaps I would be leaning towards the Canadian dollar. We're only about 10 minutes in. Let me check in on the euro over here. But just going back to the US dollar, Canadian dollar, if I was not in this trade, I'd be waiting for price to take me into this trade to the downside. And you could see that price would have to make a lower low here during New York, and it has not made a lower low yet during the London session. And I don't want to enter the trade until price gives me that confirmation. So if you are looking to enter the US dollar, Canadian dollar right here during New York, then you need about 10 pips lower to the downside. You need for price to actually confirm that it's a good idea to short the trade. And although price is trading down a little bit since London, it's still up. And you know, it's actually up on the day, and or mixed, unchanged. The more I talk, it goes between unchanged. It's unchanged, and if you get that confirmation to the downside, then you could take a look at it. But right now, I would show a little bit of patience and wait for price to get you into that trade. An arrow, nice trading this morning. There was, right, the last about the half hour going into the US equity opening, there was a lot of price movement, a lot of weak dollar price movement. I wonder, it seems to me the euro US dollar was the pair to be trading. I'm not sure where you made your money. And now the question is, we're only 15 minutes into the opening here. The question is when is the market going to start kind of sitting on its hands? Is the market going to sit down and slow down and wait for the signing, or is it just going to keep humming along? I don't know yet. We're going to watch it and find out. Um, I'm not seeing I'm not seeing this wave come in right now. I'm not seeing a wave of opportunity and setups. And if you see why, look, we're between this support and resistance here. We're not leaning off of the resistance over here. On the euro US dollar, we've come off the support. This was a trade we looked at as a long entry on TradingView. This is, well, it's now coming towards this area of take profit or move your stop to break even area. But we have a weak dollar bias this morning. Let's see if that continues to hold and build. Is it 11 a.m.? I was sure I saw yesterday 11:30. And this is saying the signing ceremony is set for 11:25 a.m. Maybe this has changed. If anyone has any confirmation. This has changed. If anyone at Hanera, if you have any confirmation. Markets, US indices have turned around. They were down pretty decent, about a third of a percentage point in pre-market, and now have reversed that completely and are making gains. Thanks to everyone who got ahead and shown their appreciation for what we got going on here every day. Appreciate that. So, where is the opportunity? What is happening? Euro New Zealand dollar looks pretty good here. This again looks like a bottom and pattern here. It looks like we now obviously have a pretty strong breakout. Um, this should go towards the top of the list here because any pullbacks and any successful tests of this broken resistance as support, I like that trade a lot. Euro seems to be having its day all around. I mean, it's hard to say whether or not the signing's priced in or not. So priced in which way? So kind of how the market works is right after the event happens, which is why you always get buy the rumor, sell the news type things, or often do, is because after the signing, then the market will start looking forward. So market looking forward is going to be probably, I'm assuming there's a good chance that people are like, well, they don't believe either party's going to live up to the deal. China is not increasing their agricultural purchases, and the U.S. is not, looking to lower the tariffs. Actually, the Trade Secretary Mnuchin said this morning that now it won't be until phase two, which won't be to after the election, that the United States considers lowering the tariffs. Last week, they were saying that that would be done during the course of the year if China lived up to certain things, that the tariffs would come off incrementally. Now, today, they're saying that that won't happen until phase two begins, which is not after the election. So, I mean, but are we already seeing that? Or we're not seeing the Australian dollar and other commodity currencies performing well today? And we're seeing the yen mixed. So, you know, I think it's fluid. I don't think that it's black and white, personally, as far as what's priced in and what's not, because I don't think anyone really knows. And just to add my input, no one even knows the details of the phase one agreement. Neither parties are making it known, so it's not so easy to price in. Now, if you guys are saying that you don't think there'll be any type of market reaction at the time of the signing, well, that I can understand and buy very well. Gold seems to be just consolidating around these levels, right? It looks like it's coming into a point where it's looking to consolidate, which is pretty normal after this type of big move, right? And now we're looking for a little bit of price discovery. If you look at the pound Japanese yen or the pound US dollar, you see that similar price, the big move up, down, and then kind of consolidating, looking forward to the next move. Closer we get to this resistance line here, the better of a Q. I see a similar pattern forming here right now. We had the big impulse up, big impulse up, then down, and now we're going to look for gold, maybe to consolidate above this support over here and look for the next cue on which way it's going to go. US Canadian dollar now is, I assume the Australian dollar also. No, not so much. A little bit. Everything's a little mixed. I don't see much of a direction either way. Euro strong. Yeah, good trading today. 3 for 3 is definitely a way to go. Why I'm you know still holding US dollar, Canadian dollar. My setups are not really in right now. Um, and I'm waiting and watching and waiting and waiting. I've gotten really good at that. Really being able to stalk my prey. I don't chase the market. I don't chase things when they're not clear. I wait for them to come in. No, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that critical update on Windows 10. I'm not sure. I will. That's a good heads up. First of all, I'll check my emails from my VPS provider, and because now that you mention it, I wonder if here you go. I'm looking right now at an error at my phone. It says 42 minutes ago about the Windows OS security vulnerabilities. Thank you for that heads up. It's asking me to update the server. Thank you, Hanero. I'll do that today as soon as we get off the live stream. Appreciate that. I mean, so from my experience trading short time frames and being active, 3 trades is one 3 trades in a day is active, is that the only thing that you have to worry about is overconfidence. Because once you start, having that type of consistency and wins, the only thing you need to worry and watch out for is overconfidence. Because from my experience, when you trade active like that, it's just that when that one trade gets away from you, when you make that one mental error, that one time that you don't respect your stop, and the only thing that you need to work out, Hanero, especially coming off such a good streak right now, is just overconfidence. Overconfidence is the only thing you need to focus on and work on. Make sure you stay humble, stay focused, and stay hungry. You do those things and you continue doing what you're doing, you're going to be more than all right. Guys, guys and girls, anyone's looking at something, please give us a heads up. Maria's pointed out a few good trades today, a few good pairs that are definitely in play. Definitely liked the support levels that you were and resistance levels that you were pointing out. All very valid. You're seeing the market very well. I like it a lot. If anyone is watching anything, let's take a look. Definitely see that euro strength right now in the market. I wonder if it's going to continue here or not. But going into New York, pre-market New York, and into the opening, it was the euro that was leading. All right, let's take a look at the pound US dollar. What time frame are you trading that off of? So we're seeing dollar weakness today. A sell limit at 370. Boom, boom, boom. I could see I have this again, this is an art, not a science. I drew my resistance level here coming off of the touches of these wicks, and then the touches of the wicks to the upside over here again. Um, you know, if you go to the candle closes, then you come in 370. So I like where you're looking there around 370. All right, but I mean, it could work out, right? It's not. At least I see your resistance that you're looking at, and I can only share what works for me, because I know as a trader with 20 years experience how difficult it is to be consistently profitable in the markets. So I'm going to share with you what works. And what works for me is having that area of resistance in mind and then watching how price reacts off of it, not taking the trade into the resistance, but taking the trade if the resistance holds and price resumes off it. So I just, again, this is just, I'm glad you're sharing your trades. That's what we all learn from and off of. I just want to also include my insight, because I do want to help all of you become more consistent and make more money. And that means, um, you know, it's a higher probability trade waiting for that confirmation that the resistance is held. All right. I have my strong resistance level up here. You could see, right? See the darker line up here, and uh, you know, I have this area of interest over here, but I don't know that that's going to hold. And again, wait for your confirmation. Wait for price to show you that it's resuming off of the resistance. Monero, I know a lot of traders. When I say a lot of traders, I'm talking about professional traders that are looking today for a bottom here in the U.S. dollar, Swiss franc. And so you're noticing that what you're pointing out to everyone here is the break below here, and now we're getting back up here. So this is possibly a false break over here. Definitely something to watch. Definitely something to watch. I agree with you a lot. and especially if you're short time frame minded here. Obviously, if you're trading on a higher time frame, um, this might not be the trade you're looking to take, but good eye on where you should be focused and where you are right now. Oh yeah, Martin. I've been trading full time for a long time, for a long time. For since 2003, I've been trading full time with 1 year off. The later half of 2010 and early 2011. I took that time off. I had actually entered the seminary to study for the Catholic priesthood during that time. Looks pretty good. I think here on the euro, I need to get. I'd be getting worried if price took out this last swing, right around 39. At that point, I would be thinking that we were seeing a possible trend reversal here this morning. That's the level I had in mind or have in mind. Yep. I know that the room is definitely under the thesis, the idea that the trade deal is priced in. I don't necessarily think it is, but we'll see. That was a euro centric move. It looked like the Australian dollar, commodity currencies, and the pound are trading up versus the dollar in during the last 30 minutes. So it's just the euro. It's just the euro that has come off, and that's again the most heavily weighted in the dollar index is the euro. And you saw the euro come off, you saw the dollar index go up, but the Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, British pound, and Japanese yen during that time frame are all making gains there versus the dollar. All right. This is the level that actually you, Hanero, pointed out yesterday, right? And you saw once we broke through it yesterday, came back up, tested it, and then price took us back in successfully, right? Now you're testing this leg over here, but this is your area. As long as you're below this area here, the one that you pointed out yesterday, things are pretty good as far as a weak dollar bias. You get back above there, and then you're seeing obviously a possible change as you get back up to that important level. I think it's just more of a matter of we simply don't know. This is just my opinion. Again, I can only share with you what I know, and you guys all know I'm looking and always looking to learn from everyone and everything. But the market is a market, and the market's pricing things in, and nothing's ever so clear, right? And there is a lot of uncertainty about the deal that's being signed because no one knows what the details are and no one knows who's going to live up to it. So I don't think it's clear, and I think the market's being a market, just trying to figure out what's next. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm not sure what time frame you're looking at, or where the gap is that you're looking at, but I don't see any gaps. It could just be the data you're looking at. Anyone who took this trade, I think the take profit level is right around there, right around 91. Um, and then if we're able to clear above here, or when we do a clear above here, then I think there's another opportunity to get long. And I'm not selling, or I would not think of selling off of this resistance. But if this was a swing trade that you took, it's a good area to take profit. Let's take a look at the weekly. So the only I don't see any gaps that haven't been filled, at least. This one over here. If not, just give me the date of the gap you're looking at, and then we could take a clear look at it. I'm not again, I'm not a fan of looking to play gap fills, and that's because they could remain unfilled for a long, long, long time. As an example, on the euro, this gap over here from May of 2017 is still open, has not yet been filled 3 years later. I'm not. What I'm doing here is exercise. This is a good question. So what I'm doing though, Blair, is exercising a skill, and that so without knowing how to articulate, this is a really important point. But so when I enter a trade, I'm entering it for the reasons that I enter it. I don't exit it until until my stop loss is hit, or until I move my stop loss to break even, or to lock in profit, or to take profit. Now, I don't, if a trade meets my criteria and I enter it, I don't exit it because it doesn't go into my favor right away, or goes against me a little bit, because and the reason I won't do that, and I'm going to give it the room as long as is because again, that's a skill. That's kind of like, it's working out. It's improving a skill. That's a very important thing for a trader. And a lot of you may notice that in the past, what you've done, you've taken trades for the correct criteria, and then the trade didn't go into your favor right away, and you get out of it, and then it goes back in your favor. And over trading is definitely destructive way of trading. And so what I'm doing here by holding this trade is just exercising a skill set that's really important to continue to work on and develop, because it goes against almost the human nature, or the psychology that we're hardwired. And so I'm holding it, and I'll continue to hold it until I get stopped out, or until the trade falls into my favor. What is the US IDX? That's some sort of stock fund. I'm not familiar with it. I can't say. I don't know. So, and Hera, that brings up a good point. Something I want to do a video on. And so there are two forms of thinking here. There is so this is really important. So you have the market, you're trading the market, you get to make all the decisions, and you have countless decisions that you can make. All right. So do you get to kind of take that right? And I'm going to trade the market how I see fit. And you could choose that path, but here's the thing: market's really difficult to figure out and to make money in consistently. Once you do, it's not so difficult anymore at all, but it's really difficult to do that. And there are a very few percentage of traders who are able to do that. And I I have the other opinion. I don't think that if you are not able to make money consistently out of the markets, then I do not think that you should actually have the mindset that you should do what fits your personality, or what you think, um, what you're trading. I think you should follow a successful plan. I really do. I think you should do what works, and I think you're gonna have. I think everyone is gonna have a lot more success doing that. And there comes a point in time when you know you got to make that decision yourself. You know, do I want to do I want to do things my own way and figure it out? I got into the markets originally because it was one of the most challenging things that you can do. And that was really one of the things that attracted me to the markets, was the challenge and the potential, right? But the challenge was actually a lot greater than I understood. It's really difficult competing in the markets, and if you have the opportunity to learn and trade what works, I would jump on it. Yeah, Jamshot, I googled the ticker you gave, and it was a some type of dollar um, fund. Wow, Rustin, that's some good insight. That's some good insight, right? And we are seeing that you are strength across the board. Andre's glad you're able to jump in here and join us. Either way, I mean, that's why we just trade the charts and use them as our guides. We will take advantage of that euro strength. But I do agree with that narrative. That could be definitely why we're seeing that extra bid in the euro outperforming here. Anyone else is looking at anything right now at all or wants to discuss something, that would be great. We are about now just 1 hour since the U.S. equities opening. I haven't got a definitive time on the U.S. China trade deal. From what I see, it's at 11:25. If anyone has any confirmation of a different time, I know also 11 o'clock was thrown out there. Forex Live has it at 11:25. I didn't see anything else anywhere. Let's look at them both. Let's look at both Australian dollar pairs. First, we'll look at the pound Australian dollar. Just looking for a time real quick. So British pound Australian dollar, I like right here, right now. I actually moved this to purple and I'm getting ready as we come into this resistance over here. You could see this resistance line over here. And now that we broke through that and now we're coming up and getting the first test. If price resumes back down off of that, I like short the British pound Australian dollar and I like it a lot. Why do I like it a lot? Because at the same time, we also have this possible head and shoulders pattern developing. Here's the neckline coming off of this resistance, coming into the neckline. The risk reward coming into it will only be about 1-to-1, which is fine. That's okay. But you get to lock your stop in to break even. And then if you break through, this trade obviously has the potential to become a pretty good trade. So I like this trade a lot on the pound Australian dollar. What happens if you get back above here though? If you get back above this resistance line here, all right, then you gotta be long side minded. And for me, that would mean obviously looking for a test of the broken resistance, holding a support this time. So this trade is at a nice critical level that's offering opportunities both ways, similar to what's setting up on the euro Swiss franc, which is offering or close to offering opportunity on both ways as well. So I like that a lot. If you're holding long the Australian dollar, US dollar here, um, I mean, obviously it still looks good. And as long as you're above this area over here, this support here over here, you look very good on a bigger perspective. As long as you're above here, this support line down here and above this trend line, the trade obviously continues to look pretty good and pretty bullish. Right now, I'm looking for price to confirm an entry, and once you clear above this resistance here, then things look pretty solid, and we can see some more follow through. It's a bit neutral right now, but with definitely a bullish bias. Same thing with the Australian dollar. You see the Australian dollar, Japanese yen does look a little bit more bullish. This is where I'm looking for an entry. Why do I say it's more bullish? Well, you can see price consolidating a little better towards here, towards the highs, right? Whereas the Australian dollar, US dollar, is come off a little bit further off the highs. Yeah. I here let's come back to this at the time of the signing, because I think that's going to be the catalyst here. And obviously I trade from a much higher time preference. And again, that as you're talking about, really important piece of advice there is waiting for that confirmation. And no matter what time frame you trade on, you have to do that. That's why I look at the daily. Even though my entries come off the 8 hour, it's on the daily time frame that I look for confirmation of broken supports and resistances, because there are oftentimes, an example that's in my head is over here. You would have had a breakout over here, but then price on the daily closed back down within the channel. So you gotta always look at the daily, or I look at the daily for confirmations of broken support and resistances, because often what happens is you get that peak through and it doesn't hold, and that's just playing out right now on a lower time frame. Hunter, I think, I mean, so my view in general is that there are the opportunities and the possibilities to create successful systems off of many different things in the markets. I think that it's extraordinarily hard to be able to get to that point where you have a successful system, but it could be done off of, it could be done off of moving averages alone, right? And it for sure could be done off of Renko bars. It could be done off of fib retracements. It could be done off of so many different things. And I believe that once the matrix opens up for you, you kind of do it off of anything. So if you know, I believe it could work. US dollar, Japanese yen, Pepe, let's take a look at it right now. I want to keep this chart up. I'm going to come back to this chart. So let me do that. I'm assuming. So if you're short here though, Peppa, and if you're short, I have this trend line resistance that so far is holding, but I think you got to be looking right now after you have this breakout of this resistance here to hold that support. And if you see, depending on the time frame you're trading, price start making higher highs, then it looks like this support's holding. I see it right there, but you came back into that trend line support, so that's a bit of an iffy area. If you are short this pair, obviously just have your stop in place. If I was getting short this pair, I would wait until you see this breakout here. If this failed and then we came back up, it tested it, and then it finally held as resistance, then I like that short in a lot. But right now, I have a bullish bias here as long as we're above this broken resistance. And so far, it looks like it's testing and holding as support. Yeah. Again, if you're short time frame, let's look at a 1 hour chart. So I don't know if this is already the successful test of this breakout here or not. I do notice that here, and this is on a short time frame. And again, the short time frames, they're difficult to make money on. They're difficult to make money on because the Forex market is not really a fast moving market, right? And if it's a fast moving market, then it's easier to make money on the shorter time frames. But generally speaking, outside of a surprise rate decision or a rate cut or a rate hike, the Forex market is not generally moving fast outside of a crisis. Of course, you saw it on on the British pound on election night, but that move happened in 3 minutes. that 400 pip move happened in 3 minutes. So you see here though, this was the low, and then look where the horizontal line is. Price took that out, so it took out some stops over there, and then now price is coming back up and off that. So there's a possibility that that's the low. There's the possibility that's the low right there. I don't know, but I have from a higher time frame, I definitely have a bullish bias right here right now, even though the dollar is weak. We've been seeing stronger yen weakness, and just looking at other pairs, I'm wondering if the yen's getting ready to turn here and go back to weaker. It's fuzzy there. It's fuzzy where you're looking. It's kind of clear to me we're above this broken resistance. Well, then I'm looking for it to hold a support. Price now showed signs that it's zooming upwards, so that's an inkling to me that it's holding support. If this is a false break and we get back below this support and then it holds as resistance, well, then it's clear to me we have a nice trade to the downside. But again, and why this trade wasn't clear over here, you're in a strong uptrend, and this was a bullish breakout here to the upside. So yeah, that's smart trading. You know what? It's even smart. Like, here's the thing, Hinero. And again, I have an extraordinary amount of experience trading short time frames. If you had 3 trades and then you come in, and time of day is so important. Pre-market US, it's good time to be trading short time frames. First 20 minutes, maybe half hour, and then after that, if you take one trade and time of day is no longer ideal, and if that trade you got whipsawed on, if you're able to step back then and call it a day, or just wait for further clarity, that's super good mature trading, right? If you're take that one losing trade and are looking to get back into the market just to end back where the height of your P&L that day, that's really poor trading, and that's bad trading. And because you're no longer in those ideal market conditions to be trading your style of trading. And you're right, we could have some whipsaw going into the signing if the market, it could be a non-event, right? But it could also be one that the market's undecided what happens next, and it could cause some further whipsaw. You're seeing that happen on the US dollar, Swiss franc, and taking 3 good trades and then having one that doesn't work out. If you're able to stand aside, then that's really good and mature, and that's the sign of a solid trader. And guys, everyone also has to have the mindset, because I know I have it, always be looking to learn. And no matter the profession, if you look at if you look at an elite athlete, if you look at the best of the best in the world in any sport, they're the ones that spend the most work working on themselves, working on their technique, working on their skill set, working on their psychology. And they all have teams and coaches they're working with and looking to learn from, right? So until you have that attitude, and I know I have it for sure, that I'm always looking to learn, because there comes a point when you actually learn enough where you learn that actually you always need to be learning. And it's just really important. It's really important to ingrain in yourself, right? Always be, as a person, be looking to better yourself as a person. As a trader, always be looking to better yourself as a trader. There never comes a point in time where you're like, I got it all and I know it. Wow. And speaking about the indices now really up, I think it's so a couple things. First of all, we're talking about not shorting them with all of this liquidity being put into the markets, and only shorting them when it's clear they're coming off. It's the only time you want to look at the markets, because when the markets come off, they come off so hard and fast, right? That's when you want to be short. Uh, when it comes to the indices, you want to look at the central banks and if they're putting money into the system or taking it away. But a bullish sign here this morning was that in pre-market, the markets were down a lot, down about a third of a percent, and now they're all up a lot. That's pretty bullish. It's very bullish, but at the same time, we're gonna watch out and we're gonna look to the indices. What happens at after the signing? Is it a sell the news type of event? Looks like the market's leaning and waiting. I have my lines in the sand, right? On the DXY, we looked at that earlier. I know that as long as we're holding, this was the line that the Hanera, had us looking for confirmation yesterday. Once we broke that, came up, tested. Look, guys, this is what I point out to you all the time. This is look for the test of the broken support. It held as resistance. How do I know it held? Price resumed back downwards. As long as this level holds up here and not just a spike, receive that confirmation, we're looking for continued dollar weakness to hold. We get above here, okay, reevaluate, things change. We have our line in the sand. King, I do definitely appreciate that reminder to go ahead, and anyone who wants to go ahead and voice and show their appreciation, just as someone just jumps in here the first as it starts, hits the thumb down, they get to include their vote. But appreciate that, King. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, if you're new here with us, please go ahead and do so. A shout out for the channel Team with Irving. What's going on? Glad you're here with us. Looks like the market's pausing here, right? Looks like the market's pausing. Quite normal this time of day, regardless of whether or not the trade deal is a factor or not. We're now 1 hour and 10 minutes after the U.S. equity opening. This is kind of where the market pauses for a minute, generally speaking. Anyway, which is awesome, which is also a great time then to open it up to anything. Anyone is interested in has any questions, anyone has any questions about trading, about any pair they're looking at, about any instrument, or about money in the markets in general. We have a little bit of downtime. I'm looking for some type of confirmation on the timing of the trade deal. Yeah, so I'm seeing 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Forex Live said 11:25. Trump usually is late anyway. If the dollar does turn though, if the dollar does turn, if the dollar regains that level we're talking about, if it gets up here, might look to actually sell the commodity currencies. New Zealand dollar, US dollar, I was looking at, looks at a pretty precarious level. Oh, what was I looking at? That was the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Strike that. I thought I was looking at the New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Yeah, of course. So I'm going to step back for a second. Obviously, the euro is very big today, but this kind of looks sideways to me. All right, we have right there. Price came in today and actually touched the resistance and has held it so far. You could see this support here. When it broke, you could see the resistance, and that's held. So it's pretty sideways, and it's caught between some support and resistance, and I prefer to stand aside over here. I don't see any type of edge. If you get above this resistance, then you could be looking more towards the upside, but you still got some work to do, and it looks sideways, and we're seeing that on the pound consolidating here sideways. And also, just to point out that since October, right, for the last three, we're at the same, we're sideways. We're at the exact same point we were on October 18th as we are today. Against the yen, it's appreciated, but it's still sideways consolidating over here. So the pound is pretty neutral right now. Right, just be aware of the time of the day. Markets are settling in right now, and so should you be. This is really not the time right now. Things are not moving to be looking for an entry. From a bigger perspective, let's just take a step back, everybody. All right, so far, resistance is holding. Price is now on the daily, going ahead and starting now to make lower lows. And we're just giving that a little bit of time to develop. Support holding over here. Resistance is still holding. Trade's not falling into favor yet. Australian dollar holding above this support, got some resistance overhead. It gets above here. This looks really good, right? Australian dollar, US dollar, you get above this near-term resistance. Looks really good. Let's see if we get a kick today. Euro, New Zealand dollar, this looks good. Not today, but today we have the breakout above this resistance, right? Breakout above. And if we get the opportunity to test this broken resistance, it holds a support and then resume upwards. Looks interesting. Gold is kind of just consolidating over here. All right, we had a big move up, big move down, and now gold is kind of figuring it out. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, similar to the Australian dollar, US dollar. If we break above this resistance, I like it a lot. I'll be looking to take this trade off of, if we have a reaction here, off of the signing of the trade deal. If this, again, I'm aware and looking for a possible sell the news type of event, but at the same time, that's the defensive move there that I'm aware of. At the same time, this could also provide a nice risk on type of event. And if it does, that's going to be priced in heavily over here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This is the only thing that I'm focused in as far as any possible new entry today. Again, euro strength being seen across the board today. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, and she's coming down, leaning into this support area over here. If I don't like it, I don't like the trade, but this is the place if you start making higher highs to perhaps looking at buying. I think you have all the way up here, to look for a take profit if that trade works out. Again, I look for where there's this clarity, and I of all the setups, I look for the best. Pound US dollar not really yet ready to make its move. Same thing with the pound Japanese yen. Like the pound is still neutral, and I think you have more potential and opportunities in other pairs, such as the Australian dollar. I'm watching here the euro Australian dollar. I know the euro's been strong. If we get below this support line here, though, I've become interested in taking this to the downside. That's not happening yet. Here we go. We're seeing that the US dollar strengthening across the board versus the euro at least. But come up here, it looks like definitely right now this support is holding here thus far. This broken resistance looks pretty bullish. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen coming back up here. And again, above this area over here, I wouldn't take it. I would be looking for, I like the Australian dollar, Japanese yen better. But if we are able to get any type of break above this near-term resistance and then test it successfully, there's a lot of room to the upside with not a lot in the way. Just not today. Pound in general, I don't see the edge, so I'm going to step aside there. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, we get above this line over here. This starts looking perhaps as a place that we're putting in a bottom. This is an important level. You could see this was pretty strong resistance, then strong support. Right now we're trading below it. We didn't make a lower low than over there. If we get back above it, this could be a place to look for a long. Not loving the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen here at all. Adversely, why I'm looking for a long on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. If this area of resistance is able to hold and price come off it, that might be the area to look for and pick up the short. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Again, I'm seeing that New Zealand dollar weakness. This is interesting for me. Let me just, we'll get to that trade in 1 second. I think you said New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, but I'll check it out, the comments in 1 second. Right now we're trading below this support over here. Price is trading below that support. That becomes very interesting here, looking to take this to the downside. You can see this area of consolidation. There's a false break up here. And if we're breaking down now to the downside, again, I look for the break of this support. I only take the trade if we come back and test it successfully and then come back off. But this is also now of interest. So coming into the session, I was not really seeing things developing. I was kind of unsure. Things are looking more clear now. Opportunity is definitely setting itself up. That was the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. Look at this. So, and again, there were some people talking about, hold on. So I don't know. So let's take a look at this, the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. I think we took a look at this a day or two ago, and I know that someone else was shorting this. I think from like I don't know if it was like 1350, and they said they're just going to keep shorting it all the way up until 1450, maybe something like that, 1440. And I noted that the pair was bullish, and I would not be shorting that into that type of strength, because overbought could remain overbought for so long. So if you're shorting this pair, you have to wait for lower lows. You haven't had a lower low in the 8-hour time frame since the breakout, right? So the only way that I could see getting into this trade would be at the very earliest if price began to make a lower low. Otherwise, there's no way, because you're just trying to catch instead of a falling knife, a rising knife. But look at the power of this. And, the thing is overbought could remain overbought for longer than you expect. And you always have to wait for some type of confirmation before taking a trade. You have to wait for price to take you into that trade. That's not happening yet. Be very careful. You don't need to pick the top. Picking top means trying to say that this is the highest price point I think price will go, and I'm going to sell against the trend and against the momentum. That's picking tops, or the same thing with picking bottoms. And that type of trading is not high probability, it's low probability. And I'm definitely not something that I condone. You have to really change that behavior. You could get lucky once, and if you get lucky once, that's going to ingrain in your mind, in your psychology. You're going to remember the time it worked out, and at the other times it doesn't. And this is generally not a good way to make money in the markets. It's not going to work out in the long term. Be very, very careful. Not much to say here on the euro. Swiss franc, other than that we were looking at this as someone was looking at yesterday, we were noted this was a place to take profit, price coming up. It's got a lot of work to do. If anything, I think if you get back into this resistance, it's a place to look perhaps for shorting this for sure. But right now we're too close to the support of that trend line. US dollar, Swiss franc. I want to follow this on the short time frame over here. It looks like we could be bottoming over here. It looks like we could be bottoming over here. When I said professional traders looking for the bottom on this pair today, I was specifically talking about Raul, the founder of Real Vision, and also Chai Girl, who is a oil trader out of Canada. I'm not saying you're wrong at all on the Swiss franc, Japanese yen. You could be catching the turning point. I'm just saying, be very careful with that type of trading. You could get right here, and it could be a great trade, but it is a low probability trade. And all I'm saying is, if you're looking to go short here, well, then just wait for the first type of confirmation, because price is rising. So the selling into the price rising is not the opportune entry, right? Whatever time frame you're trading, wait for price to start making a lower low and to prove to you that it's turning. That's all. You could have the trade here. You could also fine tune your entry, and definitely. And also in general, for myself and everyone, it's perfectly okay to be wrong. And man, as a trader, you better be perfectly okay with taking losses and being okay to be wrong, because that's not how you're successful. You're successful in trading by first of all showing patience and waiting for your setups to come for you, taking the ones that have that high probability with good risk to reward. You take those setups over and over again, and everything's in your favor, and it's going to work out. There's nothing wrong with being wrong whatsoever, at all. And actually, anytime I'm wrong, to be proven wrong, maybe sometimes I could be a little bit stubborn. And if someone is actually putting up a type of argument that's challenging my perspective, then maybe I'll even put up a little fight and be aggressive. But that's only because I'm looking for more information to be proven wrong, because once I'm proven wrong, I'll change on it in a heartbeat, in a second, and really quick. And that's okay. That's good. I'd rather be proven wrong and learn what is the truth. And you might have the perfect entry over here. You might have the perfect entry, and not only might it be the trade of the, it could be, look at this, if this is a false break, and generally speaking though, the stronger the breakout, the more of a chance that it's going to hold and stick, right? Because usually a false breakout peaks above and then doesn't make it, right? So the stronger the breakout, usually the more of a chance it's going to hold. But if this is a false break and a steep one, maybe the reaction downwards even steeper. And you could be perfectly right here, but just work on the timing. And the whole point, 100% MHB, the whole point is to work on building each other up, and that's all. And that's the only reason, is to look out for each other. And again, you could be completely right on the trade. It's just, get the timing right. That's all. Good analysis. If I like the fact that you were looking at the yen index, right? Yeah, let's look at the the pound US dollar. So the oh, sorry about that. All right, pound US dollar. I'm going to go to the daily just to give that top down perspective and get a nice look at her. Of course, we're in this strong uptrend. More importantly, on this uptrend, you see this trend line over here, right? This is pretty strong support. Until you get below this trend line, you have a strong bullish bias. Also, there's a strong bullish bias. Look where my mouse is right now, this horizontal line, right? This is the breakout of this 3-week, 6-week range. This was 6 weeks of trading. Price broke out and is trading above that line right now. So that's also pretty bullish. You have this strong support over here, right? Once you get below this support over here, I think you could turn very bearish. Once you break down below this trend line, you get very cautious that this bullish formation is no longer intact. And then you still have this line in the sand. You get below it, I think you turn very bearish. But right now, I think we're neutral. We have a bullish bias because this bullish move is still intact, but I think we have a neutral bias because you can see price is not really, again, back in October. Here's October the 18th, and price today is exactly where it was back in October. So even though you saw this long sideways well, how long was it? 6 weeks of sideways action and then a break up, and then move down and then up, and you're back where you started. So price is neutral on the pound. All right, price is just neutral on the pound right now. If you are leaning towards shorting the pound and feel like it's breaking down bearish, wait for your confirmation. The first confirmation you have to get below is this trend line over here. All right, otherwise you're better off having a long side a bias, right? Stick with us. You know what, Gemstall, subscribe to the channel. Actually, the analyst is very easy. We're gonna show you how we do it, and we just follow what the charts are doing, and why the market's crazy. Kind of gives us these roadmaps to follow, and we just follow them along, and it reduces our risk because at the point in time that we take trades, we know when we're wrong right away. It makes things much easier. But just I think just hang out and join us and watch for a few sessions, and I think that's all it takes. 3 to 5 days for like the picture to be really coming in a lot more clear, and for you to begin seeing what works and have a better understanding of things. If you can't give yourself a week, then you can't expect to jump on a bicycle and ride it without falling down maybe a couple of times, and just give yourself a little bit of time to become familiar with what's going on. Then you'll be able to make a better informed decision of what works for you. But we could definitely help bring in some clarity for you. So the 1 hour time frame is really difficult to trade. You're going to get lots of false signals and choppiness, and it's a lot easier to make a living stepping back off the higher time frames in forex. And well, if I'm looking at the 1 hour here, we're coming up, and I mean this looks quite bullish for me, actually. I have actually, if you see my mouse, this is the resistance. Price is trading above that right now. It looks pretty bullish to me. You got some resistance over it. It's sideways though. There's no edge either way. And one of the first things about trading is finding an edge. And sideways price action is not an edge in trading. I had a long trigger here now on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I didn't get filled. Why is that? I didn't get filled. I had this actually time filtered out, so I'm not in that trade. I wanted it. I wish I were. If we backfill just a few pips here, I'll take a look at it. MHB, I'm just so in what we do here, I'm just short the US dollar, Canadian dollar. It's the only trade I have open, right? Last week I took this was my only trade. This was a short I took here on the Euro US dollar. This was a super great trade. And then last week I had a long on the US dollar, Japanese yen, but that was only like 25, 30 pips. And I'm short now the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Um, I was looking to get long here. I had the time filtered out, so the trade where it triggered audit didn't trigger on the account that I'm looking for it to trigger on. And we're just now like 6 picks past the entry. I'm not going to chase it, but if we come back into that fill, I'll then enter that trade manually. MHB, so I trade I trade automated systems where I am trading on the hourly. I don't have to watch it. Those are obviously very active and take lots of trades, but I tend to take this discretionary type trading uh, no more than 3 trades a week. And I think if you're trading, um, again, I look at the daily to place my levels, to find out where the trend is, to find out where the support is, where the resistance are, trend lines, channels, and then I come down to the 8 hour for entries. And on that time frame, I think if you're taking more than 3 trades a week, I think you're trading too much. I think people trade too much, and I think over trading means that you're not picking your setups, you're not taking the good setups, and you're just trading to trade. It doesn't work out. One of the first things you could do in order to begin to turn that corner to being a profitable trader is stepping back and trading less. In all investing, the longer your investment horizon, the more of a chance of you being profitable. Peppa, that could happen. I am looking to see if this is a sell the news type of event. So it is now about 11:15, right? We should have in about 15 minutes. the news coming in, and I'm just cautious. I am cautious to find out if it's a sell the news type of event. But obviously here, and this could be, for example, on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, right? That could be a false signal. This could be a false trade. But I'll get stopped out quickly if that's the case. But I am looking, even though I'm looking for sell the news, I'm expecting the status quo remains. If we get above here, if this trade does, and we get above this resistance here and close above it today, I think this has some nice room to roam, and I like this trade a lot. No, that's not true at all, Zoran. Because if you're trading a small account and you're trading it actively and you're losing money, you're taking that small account and you're making it less and less productive for yourself. You can make, uh, you can make taking 3 trades a week. You can make a lot of money in the markets, a lot of money, a lot of money in the markets. And if you have a small account and you are growing that account, and again, it's time horizon. Instead of trying to make money on a small account that's going to see anything over a month, well, if it's a small account, you better extend that time horizon, right? And you better extend it beyond 10 years. You better start looking at 20 years, because it's not until the year 15 that you're probably going to start making serious money. And what you need to do if you have a small account is the number one first thing you need to do is learn to make money on that account and start making money on that account to give it the opportunity to compound and grow. And then the second thing you need to do is be adding regular deposits to that account. Don't do that unless you're making money. But if you're making money on a small account and that's growing, and then you're adding regular monthly deposits to that account, over just several years, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing that account worth something special. And then maybe it's 15 years that account is something substantial. But if you take a small account and you overtrade it, and you lose money, that account's never going to be anything, but not even a small account, but a nothing account. So that's Zoran. That's absolutely the opposite. Nice trading, Tejanero. Nice trading again. I'm just going to take a moment here. I'm going to set some orders. So I can't believe we missed that. That was probably the rant of the week or 2 weeks. All right, Zoran, let's take a look. This is really important. Let's look at this together. First of all, just bear with me really quick. Just turn into a posture of just being opening and listening. All right, we're all on the same team here. We're all trying to help each other. Um, all right, risk to reward of three to one is not black and white. All right, that doesn't mean every trade you take you risk 3 to 1. That means overall you're looking to average a risk to reward of 3 to 1. On some trades, you might have a 1 to 1 risk going into the trade, right? But you also might be locking in that stop pretty quick. On other trades, you have a greater than reward of 3, a factor of 3. All right, you're looking for an average of 3 to 1. You could have a win rate of only 45% and do extremely well in trading if you have proper risk to rewards and if you're taking good trades. If you have a small account, I'm going to get into that in 1 second. This is really important for everyone. This is all about mindset and perspective, and it's really important to understand. It's really, really important to understand this. If you're trading a small account and you're trading it the wrong way, you're going to lose your money. 100% you're going to lose your money. Swinging for big trades and home runs in the hope of growing that account, you're going to lose all of your money. You could trade account leveraged at 1 to 50 and risk no more than a 0.5% on each trade and make seriously mid double digit gains a year. Serious money, serious returns with account leverage that 1 to 50, risking a 0.5%. So you have to really change your perspective and mindset. Let's say you only have a small account. Let's say you only have $500. You need to think long term. You need to think long term. All right. Let's say, for example, and if you're not thinking long term, this is not the business for you. Forex and trading and investing is the business of using time and compounding interest to work in your favor. If you don't have that time, then it's never going to work out in your favor. You need to really change your investment perspective and horizon. All right, let's look at this. Let's say you have a small account, and let's say you're 15 years out, you're growing this at a rate of 25%. That's $14,000 in 15 years. And if you're saying to yourself that's not enough money, you're right. This is a really small account to be putting 15 years of work into. But let's say that you were adding a $500 deposit every month. That's serious money after 15 years. And not only that, month over month, then you're making serious money. Maybe you don't have that kind of money. Maybe you don't have an extra $500 a month to add. And maybe you can only add $100 a month, right? $100 a month. So it's only $1,200 a year. All right. And so maybe you're saying, well, okay, after 15 years, that's a good account size, but that's not serious money. All right. Well, what happens after 20 years? That's a $500,000. You started with $500, my friend. But what happens if you get your return up to 30% a year? All right. So you need to really have just a better perspective. And if you have a small account now, great because you're here with us, and great because you have a higher likelihood of learning how to go ahead and trade successfully than anywhere else. So just learn to treat this small account as you would any other size account. Learn to change your time horizon to a longer time horizon, and start doing what you need to do in order to meet your first goal. And 25% a year is a sick return. It's a return that any trader should be able to learn to do and can learn to do, and work on that. Hopefully, best case scenario is this is a non-event, Australia, and the signing of the trade deal. Indices are pumping near the highs, and this becomes a risk on type of event. And now into this Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and that continue working out well if that's the case. Um, and that's it, right? Again, I don't trade often. Holding my trades, giving them time to work out, see what happens. Uh, that should be any minute right now. The only thing that I'm concerned about, I'm always looking for what could go wrong. So I am just looking to see if this is a sell the news type of event. Hopefully that doesn't happen. If it does happen, I want to be aware of it. Also, if it does happen, I think that you know, keep watching this pair also. Australian dollar, Japanese yen, US dollar, Swiss franc. I think these are the two pairs in play right now. And also, I think I would get interested in looking at the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen as a short if all of a sudden we saw a risk off type, sell the news type environment. That's my plan going into it. Listen, it's happening right now. I'll be with you as it happens, and we'll see what happens. That would be good. I hope that's the case. I hope it's a priced in event, and that now this we actually break out here on this risk on, right? This was the caution going into the event, and what I'm hoping, because that's the way I'm positioned, is that this is a non-event and we enter into some risk on. As it's happening, I'm looking for and alerted if it's a sell the news. One of the most difficult parts about trading that you really need to work on psychologically is learning to hold on to trades, because a lot of traders are really quick to take profits, and a lot of traders are actually really quick to hold on to losing trades or even move their stop losses to give that trade more room because they don't want to be wrong. And you, maybe it's a fear of losing money, but that's a fear of being wrong. You might not look at it, I'm not afraid to be wrong. Well, if you're moving your stop losses and if you're taking profits too quickly, you're afraid of being wrong. And it's actually by holding on to trades that you make money on them, right? No, no, Isaac. No, yeah, I want to see the video. Um, no, 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 no. New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Only if this became a sell the news type event. I'm not expecting that to happen. If it does become a sell the news type of event, we're actually now above this resistance. This is all in the last 15 minutes. So forget if we did not get above this resistance over here, and this became a sell the news type event. This is where I would have looked into leaning to the short side. I am not short the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. I long the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. If we were to come off and be a sell the news type of event, I will look over here. I'm not, do not get ahead of yourself. Again, President Trump likes to be late for these type of things. He likes to boom, 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 boom. He likes to grandstand a little bit, but as soon as it goes live, we should hear. The deal is going to be agreed upon. The thing is is it possible to sell the news? Is that then the market says, wait a second, we don't even know the details of this. This is just like a farce truce. No one believes in it, and it's not going to be enforced. And you know, again, you always have to be aware of what could go wrong. Is all. We're looking for risk on to continue here. We're looking for the dollar actually to continue its weakness today, and um, we'll see. But at the same time, if you start seeing the indices all of a sudden we're trading near the highs, start selling off, you know it was a sell the news type event. You always need to be aware of the worst case scenario. US dollar is also showing some weakness today. Patience, patience, patience. It's the key to trading. I know you've heard it. You have to put it into action. You have to put that into action. You cannot trade blindly, looking to put a trade on and hoping to profit. That's not how it works. Yeah. And this is like, come on, this is the way he grandstands. I'm so important that everyone must wait on me. And every time he's got any type of address like this, he's always late. I'm just being cautious here, waiting for confirmation. Keep my eyes on the indices. I want to make sure that they continue to hold on to these gains. Hopefully, this is a trend day. Hopefully, all this momentum continues. This is just one portion to be cautious of it in case we see a turning point. That's all. I have here on the euro this area of interest right here. And if we get above it, then I get a little more bullish, and I'm looking for this area. as the next place that you'd want to look to take profits into. And this area of interest right now is, again, if this winds up holding, again, I would look to the dollar index, and I would look to see if we're back above this line. At that point, you either got to take your trade off. Yeah, I was want someone emailed me. I know exactly who it was. Just don't want to point anyone out. And they were just, hey, listen, you should really just remind everyone just to show their appreciation, and anyone who has it, I greatly do appreciate it. I'm just glad every day. And if you think what I'm offering here is of no value or of bad value, go ahead and cast your vote to the downside as well. You know, but do appreciate that. If someone's new here and they haven't yet subscribed to the channel, go ahead and please do that. This channel is growing pretty fast. I think it's because of the value that we do offer and because of the community that we have here, which is a good group of people. Very, very insightful, very positive and supportive. If you're not already linked up to the Telegram group we just started last week, I send out updates on any new trade entries or exits later on that day, which are then a minute or 3 minute videos on TradingView posted to alert you in that Telegram. And that's it. I can't believe we're waiting for Trump again. It's almost ridiculous. I really believe, I doubt this guy ever misses his tea time, right? I'm sure if he has an 11:30 tea time, that he shows up on time for that tea time. All right, I just have my watches over here. I'm watching the indices. I just want to make sure that they keep on extending these gains. I'm also watching the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This is the risk on, risk off pair. Yeah, I agree, Matt. So, I mean, overall, I'm definitely supportive of President Trump. But things like this, man, he's totally grandstanding. He does it every time, and I can't buy into that at all. That must have been real fun. Golfing with someone who's on the phone the whole time. That's pretty disrespectful, right? Yeah, MHB for sure. I mean, Mnuchin has that. I don't know. I think when he took office, he had a 50 million offshore account in the Cayman Islands. For sure, that's 100 million now, if not more. This guy is just got the inside makes the inside information, and for sure, he's making sure that he's got all his orders in place. At the end of the day, I think this what this phase one deal is all about anyway, is just keeping these markets up. Uh, Listen, the guy is trying to get reelected, and he's not looking for any type of truce with China, but he is looking for a ceasefire. And China's in actually very bad position. Their economy is slowing down. Their debt is enormous, and the fact of the matter is the communists are also looking for some type of reprieve, and that's why they're willing to take this. But they're not increasing their agricultural purchases. They're actually looking to make those purchases elsewhere, Brazil, and they're also not looking for any type of long term arrangement with the United States that does not benefit them. Yeah, an error for sure. And another thing, definitely hypercritical about President Trump was that again he was before being elected talking about the low interest rates, how they're hurting the dollar, and then now he wants low interest rates and wants to devalue the dollar. So that's a huge conflict of interest, hugely hypocritical, and you have to call it as it is. At the same time, when the guy does something good, I think he has to be given credit. The media has like 94% negative coverage of him. That's impossible. I think you have to call things as they are, and it's important not to be biased, but blindly biased. Yeah, for sure. China's working on de-dollarizing. For sure, the yen could be, start talking 10, 15 years out. The yuan, excuse me, the yuan could be, appreciate greatly in value from here. But I don't know what's going to happen in the meantime. For sure, if Trump's reelected, and odds are, unless the market really crashes, he's going to get reelected and reelected strongly. He's going to come down so hard on China, and the yen could first depreciate way past 7.5 first. So it's always about timing. But China is buying gold. China's, working on make they're taking all those dollars and they're buying real resources across the world with them. All right, what's going on? Someone call this guy. Someone tweet him and get him to get this going. Panero, please, if you get a chance today, tweet me that. I don't know which, because I sent you the resources. I'm not sure I saw the one that you're talking about. looking here as the DXY takes another look going into here to the London close. See if we make some lower lows or not. Waiting on President Trump once again grandstanding for the sake of grandstanding. Markets indices are trading at their highs. That's the first thing I'm looking for. I want to see this continuing. If we see this change radically, that's going to be a sign that this is actually a sell the news type of event. At that point, I'm going to lean in towards the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. Right now, I'm long the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, as we're looking above this resistance here, looking at possible the status quo holding, which would be risk on. And then this could be a very, very, very good trade as we get back here above this resistance. My US dollar, Canadian dollar finally falling into profit, right? I got some more work to do before it looks like a good trade. Oh, Hanero, that video is fire. I agree with that. Was one of the best videos I saw last year. Because living in the West, we don't really get really an inside perspective of what it's like inside China. Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. I've seen a couple of tweets now and again from him, and he seems to be on the ball. I'd be interested in watching a YouTube video about his book Triggered, get the summary of it. All right, I can't believe what this guy is doing right now. Wow. Seeing the Dow Jones up nicely today. This could be this. I hope this turns into a trend day. All right, here we go. If the volume's too loud, let me know. Can't hear it, let me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by the Vice Premier of the People's Republic of China.
Again, I'm not worried about what he says. I'm worried about what the markets do. I'm looking here at the indices. I'm looking straight for $300 after again, and I'm expecting everything to hold and follow through. But I'm just alert in case they don't. Trying to just get out of position, and then we'll possibly right now. Just monitoring to make sure that the status quo holds here, and even.
Thank you very much, please. We greatly appreciate your joining us at this White House event. This is a very important and remarkable occasion. Today we take a momentous step, one that has never been taken before with China, toward a future of fair and reciprocal trade as we sign phase one of the historic trade deal between the United States.
If you guys can't hear me, I was simply saying that all I'm looking for right now, I don't care about what he says or what's said here. I'm watching the indices to make sure they hold on to their gains, that we don't see this come off hard and quick. I expect the status quo holds. We're just here monitoring right now to make sure it does. And if it does, we get to hold on to our trades and things look good, but we just have to be alert here just in case for any reason it becomes a sell the news type of event. And that's our job, right? Just to be aware of what could happen, but we expect the status quo will continue.
United States and China. Together we are righting the wrongs of the past and delivering a future of economic justice
good
and
with the
security
volume
for American workers,
Trump
farmers,
speaking,
and
and then can you
families.
hear me now?
I want to thank President Xi, who is watching as we speak, and I'll be going over to China in the not too distant future to reciprocate. But I want to thank President Xi, a very, very good friend of mine. We're representing different countries. He's representing China. I'm representing the U.S., but we've developed an incredible relationship. But I want to thank him for his cooperation and partnership throughout this very complex process. Our negotiations were tough, honest, open, and respectful, leading us to this really incredible breakthrough. Most people thought this could never happen.
That, everyone.
Should have happened 25 years ago, by the way, but that's okay. A man who also has become a good friend of mine and somebody who's very, very talented and very capable. We're delighted to be joined by Vice Premier Liu Ha and Ambassador Shui and many other representatives from the People's Republic of China. We are especially proud of the efforts of Vice President Mike Pence, who is with us. And Mike, I'd like to have you say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor to be here with you.
I don't even want to hear what they have to say, to be honest.
With our Treasury Secretary, with Ambassador Lighthizer, with so many distinguished guests, members of Congress, and governors from around the country. This is a good day for America, China, and the world, and it's an honor to be with you. Mr. President, we gather here today thanks to your leadership at a time that the American economy is booming. With the strong support of members of Congress who are gathered here, we are now experiencing an economy that's created more than 7 million jobs. Unemployment rate is at a 50-year low. The average American's household income has risen by more than $5,000. That's all a result of your commitment to cut taxes, roll back regulation, unleash American energy. But it also reflects your commitment to free, fair, and reciprocal trade. Early in this administration, you made it clear that the era of economic surrender was over, and you took a strong stand for American jobs and American workers. You said to our friends in China that things had to change. And thanks
strong
to your
work
leadership
done over here,
today,
guys, this week. When I say guys, I mean guys and girls, of course, 100%. But strong work done holding these trades and using this guide this week.
Thanks to your efforts, Mr. President, we
Now-
announced today great
now
progress
starting
on
to see the
protecting
fruits of all that
intellectual
right
property,
now.
on preventing forced technology transfer and currency manipulation, and I know it means so much to you. The greatest impact may well be on American agriculture. Some $40 to $50 billion in purchases secured in this deal that'll result in greater prosperity for farmers all across the land. Mr. President, your commitment to a growing and prosperous America has been the centerpiece of your leadership. And today, with the signing of Phase 1, it's one more example of your commitment to put American jobs and American workers first. And we recognize, as you do, Mr. President, that differences will remain between our two nations, but today is the start of a new chapter in trade relations between the two largest economies in the world. But I can assure the American people that this president will continue to stand firm and put America first, even as we forge a more productive relationship with China and with the world. Mr. President, you know there's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, men see only the present, but heaven sees the future. So let today be the beginning of a brighter future, more prosperous for the American people, the Chinese people, and the world. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. An incredible job. Incredible guy. I also want to give special thanks to our U.S.
All right, it's all
Trade
looking good, guys.
Representative, who's been kept very busy. He's doing a lot of deals. We'll have another big one next week. It should get approved very shortly, and that'll be tremendous with Canada and Mexico. But we'll talk about that next week. But Robert Lighthizer, are we keeping you busy enough? Huh? Poor guy can't sleep. He tosses and turns. What happened to him?
I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was dropped, and
Oh, okay.
I'm all pro.
Thanks. Mike, that's right, you are all purpose, come to think. But Bob Lighthizer is really an outstanding guy, gets along with people, he's smart, he's sharp, and he understands trade better than anybody. When I first took this, I said, I got to get the best guy. And all signs pointed to Robert Lighthizer, so thank you very much, Bob. Thank you very much. I have one question. Was this an easier job or a tougher job than you thought?
Tougher than I thought.
I had a feeling you might say that. Also, our great Treasury Secretary, Stephen Mnuchin, has worked with Bob hand in hand, and thank you very much, Steve. Great job. So this really is a landmark agreement, but along with them, we had the exceptional efforts of Jared Kushner. Where is Jared? Where is Jared? Our brilliant Jared. Great job, Jared. He worked hard. He left a beautiful, nice, very prosperous real estate business and came here, and I can tell you that was harder. This is harder than real estate in New York, isn't it, Jared? Huh? But you've done a fantastic job. You don't get people like that, so thank you very much. And Ivanka, nice to have you here. Thank you, honey. Also, somebody that I've heard for 35 years, the voice is just a great gentleman, a friend of mine, but a great gentleman. We brought him in, and he has been outstanding. The only problem is he doesn't like going on television very much. He's a little bit shy about that. Larry Kudlow. Where's Larry? Where is Larry?
Are these guys talking about their insider trading right now?
We had a day where the market went down $1 trillion. Think of that. In other words, it was one of those few days because we've had 141 days where we hit all-time highs. And we just broke, as you know, we just broke the 29,000 mark on the Dow just now as we're walking in. Market's up substantially today. With all these business leaders, I'm sure they don't care. But Larry Kudlow went out into the beautiful lawns of the White House. Actually, he was standing in the middle of the Rose Garden. He had a beautiful scarf waving in the wind. He was everything perfect, right out of Greenwich, Connecticut. And he started talking. And by the time he finished, I said, you just made $1 trillion, $1 trillion. because the market went up like 250 points. I said, Larry, what the hell did you say? And it didn't matter, but we were even. We went from being $1 trillion down to even, and that was pretty good. Larry, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And by the way, I just see in the audience our great ambassador to China, right? Governor. So we had the governor of Iowa, and he loves China. And you're the longest serving governor in the history of our country, like 24 years. And I called him. I said, Governor, you have to do me a favor. Because I remember one conversation I had with him. I was going in to make a speech before the election. And he said, sir, please don't say anything bad about China. It's the first time anyone ever said that to me. And I said, who is this guy? He's the governor of Iowa. He just said, don't say bad about China. So I had to rip up about half.
Right? They're not even hiding it anymore.
Right? And I said, why? He said, well, we do a lot of business. I've been dealing with China for 35 years with corn and all of the different things. And he told me a story that was amazing. He said, 35 years ago when I started, I met a man named Xi. He wasn't president then. He was a young man. And the governor came back, he told his wife, he said, this is 35 years ago. And it's documented. He said, I just met the future president of China. And nobody thought much about it. And you know what? 28 years later, you turned out to be right. And you have been an incredible ambassador. And they like each other so much. So when it came time to picking the important position of ambassador, I said, haven't you had enough after 24 years being governor of Iowa? He said, if you want me to do that, and you've been a great help. Thank you very much, Ambassador. I appreciate it. What a great job. Nobody could have done that job better. Amen. I think I can go on the opposite side of the spectrum, perhaps, from the governor. His attitude's a little different. Our trade advisor, Peter Navarro. Right, Peter? He's a little different. We have all types. We have all types. A deputy chief of staff, Chris Liddell, has been with us for a long time, and he's done a fantastic job and had a great business career. Commerce Secretary, a legend on Wall Street, Wilbur Ross. Where's Wilbur? Wilbur, thank you. A man who knows agriculture as well as anybody in the world. We were looking for an agricultural person. And we wanted to go political, and we were looking for somebody that would fit perfectly. And
so we have tremendous numbers of people here, and I'm saying, who I introduce them?
may have a vote, and it's on the impeachment hoax. So if you want, you go.
I hope that cleared up the echo.
Frankly, it's not going to matter because it's going very well. But I'd rather have you voting than sitting here listening.
All right, again, my eyes are on the indices. Everything looks like it's holding up. I can't see that this is when, before they made the press conference, that they, placed those offshore trades and pushed this up to new highs so that they could say during the press conference that the markets were at all-time highs. But,
I like it much better than
it's near towards the top. Just be careful after they get off whether or not this drops or not. All right. I'm looking at the indices. I want to make sure they hold on to their gains. The dollar definitely is trading right near the low of the day. I would love to see the dollar extend its gains now.
So we have some incredible people in the
and that would be a
audience,
really
and I
good
just like
sign
to
that we
introduce
continue
a few,
holding
a
these
very good
trades.
friend of mine,
I
two
would
very
love
good
to see the
friends of
dollar
mine.
extend these gains right
Sheldon
now.
Adelson,
The euro
Miriam
is
Adelson, thank you very
close
much,
to
both
its
for
highs
coming.
of the
They've been
day.
tremendous supporters
But
of
other things
us
like the Australian dollar
and the Republican
and
Party.
the Canadian dollar are finally now seeing their
And they're
highs of the
great
day versus the
people.
dollar.
A man
That's a good
who
sign.
always liked me because he's smart, so smart. The great Lou Dobbs, at first he said he's the best since Reagan. Then he got
That's
to know
exactly
me a
what
little
Hanera.
more,
Yeah, good,
and he
good,
said he's
good
even better
commentary. That's
than
what I
Reagan.
thought. That's what I was thinking. Like
Then
these
a
guys
few
are just
weeks
patting
ago,
each other on
somebody
the
told me, and I
back.
watch all the time. Somebody's got a very important show, actually. Tremendous
Peacocking,
audience
came
and
all with it in
very-
the music,
everybody in this room
very,
watches.
very
But
Trump-esque
Lou Dobbs, he said, he's
here.
the greatest of them all. I said, Does that include Washington?
and all that's
and
just
Lincoln?
a dog, dog and
And he
pony
said,
show.
yes. Now, I don't know
But
if he was for real, but that's
I'll be
okay.
really
But the
stoked
great,
if
he
we
is.
continue to push
The great
this
Lou
current
Dobbs.
trend
Thank
that
you very
everything's
much.
holding, and go on to
Thank you.
push out some further nicer gains.
Great show, Lou. And a man who everybody knows. He knows more than probably everybody in this room put together. He's seen it all. And he made a statement to Jared. Jared came in and said, you know, Henry Kissinger told me, how did the president ever pull this off? I said, can I quote Henry on that? Because Henry is outstanding. And when Henry's impressed with something, then I'm impressed. And Henry, we're impressed with you. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Henry. Thank you. And Michael Pillsbury, thank you very much. And Susan Pillsbury, thank you very much. And you've been saying some fantastic things about China and about us. And
My
we have a good
goodness,
partnership.
I'd rather,
This is
I feel
going to
like
be something that's going to be very special. We're going to talk about it.
I'd rather shoot myself.
A friend of mine, Steve Schwarzman, is here. Steve, I know you have no interest in this deal at all. I'm surprised you're not actually sitting over here on the ledge of the stage as opposed to. But Steve's done a great job and very good relationship with China and very good relationship with us. Nelson Peltz is here, a friend of mine. Where's Nelson? Nelson's around here someplace. Hi, Nelson. What are you doing sitting all the way back there, Nelson? How's General Electric doing, Nelson? He'll straighten it out. He'll straighten it out. He came in nice and late. He didn't get in too early, that's for sure. Hank Greenberg is here. Hank, if they took care of Hank,
As soon as this
they
thing
wouldn't have
gets
had the
over with,
problems that
though,
we
then
had.
I feel like,
Where's Hank? Hank
you know,
Greenberg.
we could relax and enjoy the
Oh,
rest of the
Hank.
day. I just need to be certain before then
Hank stayed
that
there like he
everything
should
here is
have.
going to
You
hold.
wouldn't have had the problem that you ended up having with our economy. But it's great to have you, Hank. Thank you very much. We have some tremendous senators here and some really incredible people. And I want to just say the ones that are here. If I miss your name, stand up and I will promise to say it because a lot of people wanted to be here. A senator who has been new to the game, and he took it up so quickly and so easily, and he ran a race that was undoable. The person he ran against was unbeatable. Nice woman, Heidi, but unbeatable. And then Kevin Cramer said, I can beat her, and I think he only won by about 12 points, right? And they said, he's the only man in North Dakota that can win. And I said, we'll do it, and I had him in my office 3 times. I said, Kevin, you got to do it, and I said, he's doing it, and he turned me down. Then he came back again. Well, this time I know he's doing it. He calls me back. He says, sir, I'm not going to do it. He said, you know, in all fairness, I'll call you back. But I never give up, do I? So now instead of being a congressman, he's a senator, and you've been great.
Isidro, you know, the markets are definitely trading up well into the trade deal.
Mike,
And
thank you very much, Mike.
we're seeing
Great job
the dollar
Mike
weakness,
is one of those guys,
and
unsung, but
everything looks pretty
behind the
good
scenes,
right
there's
now.
nobody sharper,
Definitely,
smarter. We
we've
all respect you and
traded
love you.
really
You're
well
one of
this
these
week.
people.
Things have
Thank you very
fallen
much, Mike.
and are starting to
Appreciate it.
fall now into our favor. We're just hoping
Steve
they can
Dang,
continue
same thing I
to
can
continue
say
that
for
way.
Steve, and he's got a hell of a
Um,
football team. How did they do this year?
You
All
know,
right?
the best case
They're gonna
scenario
be
here is
back?
that there's no further reaction
They
from the
won it again?
market and that we
They
actually
have a
get a
good
trend
team.
day,
They have a
meaning
good
that
team.
the direction
Joni Ernst.
that is
You got
started this
ethanol, so you
morning
can't be
continues
complaining,
throughout the
right?
rest of the day, and you don't even see a
Steve,
pullback
Steve,
during
that's good
lunch.
for you too.
And
You know, Joni
I would
would
like to
call
see
me along with
the
Chuck
dollar
Grassley.
start making
They
some new
call us
lows
a
over here.
tandem. You can't beat the two of them.
That has not
All
yet
they wanna know
happened.
about is
I wonder if that
ethanol.
will happen
Ethanol. But we got
after
it
they
done.
stop speaking,
Deb Fisher,
or
same
it's
boat,
not
right,
going to.
Deb?
But
You want that ethanol
that would be a
from
nice
Nebraska?
confirmation
And a
that we
friend of mine,
continue
Lindsey
holding
Graham, he's
open
become a great
trades and
friend of mine,
continue
and he's
falling in their favor.
outstanding man. He loves our
We're
country. He
seeing
really does love our
definitely
country. He works
some
like
risk on
hell. Do you do
environment
anything other
coming
than
up, which is
politics?
indicative of the trade deals. That's
He
good.
likes
That's
golf
not a
too.
sell the news type event,
He likes
right?
golf
So
too.
far. And if we
Likes
get
to go to
above
golf.
here
Other
and close
people wouldn't
above here,
understand. He likes golf, but he's
I
a
think that this
great
could turn
guy.
into
We get it
something
done. He
really,
brings people
really
together.
nice on the
Chuck
Australian
Grassley, where's
dollar.
Chuck? Where's Chuck? Chuck, will you stand
Japanese
up for a second?
yen.
This guy's the toughest guy.
We got some
He
more
can
work
say
to
something
do.
in a nice
If we,
manner,
if we
and
break out
everybody's
some new
afraid.
highs over here,
Right?
though, then all of a sudden
He made Comey
this
choke
trade becomes a
during
home
the-
run.
He said,
We're
"Did you
in
leak
the
anything
possible
to the
environment that could
press?"
happen.
What? Comey
Watching the
choked like a
indices to
dog,
make
and he
sure
was
that
being
they
nice
hold
when
their
he said it.
gains, which so far
Chuck
they're doing,
is
holding near the
outstanding.
top.
Unbeatable between you and the governor. Those are two pretty good ones, right? Unbeatable under any circumstance. He makes the rounds like virtually every night. I think you still have never.
I
missed
can't.
a
I
round.
can't
You
even
ever
listen
missed
to
a
this
round?
guy.
Chuck was, huh? 93. He was in my office a month ago, and I thought it was very rude. He said, "Sir, I'm sorry, I have to leave." Why? That was right in the middle of a meeting. I said, "Why?" He said, "Because I have to vote, and I've never missed a vote or something." I said, "How many years?" He said,
I
1993.
feel so
It's a
bad for
long time.
Premier Lee in the
I said,
background
"You know
over
what?
here,
Go leave. That's a good
having
record
to
to keep."
sit through this and
Because
listen
he's
to
a
this.
solid, reliable,
I mean,
unbelievable
I would love to
person,
see a
and he's
thought
friend
bubble
of
of what
mine.
this
So
guy's
thank you very
thinking right
much,
now,
Chuck.
and what he must have
And
done
let him know also about that
to piss
ethanol,
off
Chuck. We brought home
Premier
the
Z
ethanol,
that they
man,
sent
when
him
you have
here.
those two calling. They were not nice about it, Jerry Moran. I want to tell you, where's Jerry? Jerry, they were not nice about the ethanol. I want to say that. And Jerry, with what he did, we're working together very closely together with the vets. And it's incredible what's happened with what we approved on choice. It's made a whole big difference. You don't hear complaints about the VA anymore. Do you notice? They go out and see a doctor. If they have to wait 2 months or if they have to wait 2 days, they go out and see a doctor. Jerry Moran, folks, he did a fantastic job. Rob Portman, great friend of ours from Ohio. Rob, fantastic job. I just left Ohio. They love you. They love you there, and you've done a fantastic job.
That's a
And
good
you are my
spot. We get
friend.
up there. That's
Rob
definitely
Portman.
a good spot. I agree with you 100%.
Thanks,
We
Rob.
got some more work to
Pat
do.
Roberts, a man
but,
from Kansas who's going to be leaving us. I
We got some
cannot
more work
believe
to
that you're
do,
not
but
running again. You
I'm
have
holding mine as well.
at least another 12 good, solid years in the Senate if you wanted them. You have to do it, you sure, right? Okay. He's made that decision. But, Pat, thank you very much. And this is very important to Pat and to Mike Rounds, because what's happened here, if you look, it's so much about everything you stand for, especially the farmers. And the farmers are going to be so happy. Where's Mike Rounds? Mike, stand up, Mike. He's another one. He was brutal to me. He would call, "I got to get this done. You got to get it done," right? Thank you very much, Mike. Fantastic job. And Dan Sullivan from the great state of Alaska. And I stop there every time I can, right? And I won by a lot. They like me in Alaska, right? But they like you too, Dan, and thank you very much. Kevin McCarthy, as you know, left for the hoax. Well, we have to do that, otherwise it becomes a more serious hoax. And Mark Meadows, a friend of mine right from the beginning. Thank you, Mark, very much. Special guy, special friend, great wife, too. His wife actually supported me long before him, but he thinks I don't know that. She went on Women for Trump when it wasn't so fashionable. Like in the worst day of my life, she was doing Women for Trump tours with 50 women on buses all over the great state of North Carolina. She's fantastic. Vern
Euro,
Buchanan,
Japanese yen above here looks
Great job you've
interesting.
Mike
And
Conaway.
again,
Thanks,
as
Mike.
long as it holds, see this
Thank you,
bottom
Mike.
of this blue box over
By
here?
the way,
That's
Krista, thank
obviously
you
a
for being
resistance
here. I
line.
didn't know you were going to be
Holds
here. Thank you.
above
Stand
there,
up. We're going to do
and
a big
then we get any
fireworks
pullback and it holds
display,
successfully
right?
during
Mount
Asia
Rushmore.
and resumes
We're
upwards.
going over. I think I'm going to try and be
Euro's
there
got
on
some
July
momentum
4th.
right now.
So the governor
That might
called.
be
She
an
ran a
interesting
great
trade.
race, a tough race. That was a tough competitor you had, right? A big star. And but she was a bigger star, it turned out, Lindsay. But she said, "Do you think we can get fireworks back at Mount Rushmore?" I said, "Why? They haven't been there for 20 years. I said, "Why?" Environmental reasons. I said, "You mean you can't have fireworks because of the environment?" "Yeah, environmental reasons." I said, "What can burn? It's stone. You know, it's stone. It's ground." So nobody knew why. They just said environmental reasons. So I called up our people, and within about 15 minutes, we got it approved, and you're going to have your first big fireworks display at Mount Rushmore. And I'll try and get out there if I can, okay?
Did he just spend
Right?
a half hour just thanking everybody and
That'll be great.
showboating?
Thank you very much for being here. Thanks, Christy. Mike Kelly. Where's Mike? Mike, thank you very much, Mike. What a friend. Drew Ferguson. What a friend. These are great people, I'm telling you. Darren LaHood. Darren, thank you very much, Darren. Great job. Michael McCall, you did a phenomenal job 3-4 days ago, Mike, with your speech on the floor. That was incredible, very inspiring. Patrick McHenry, number one, he's a great guy. Number two, he's got the best name in politics. If I had that name, I would have won 20 years ago. Patrick McHenry, a man who's got such courage. Honestly, he deserves a medal. He'll probably get one. We still have to win to get medals, though, right? We can't give medals if we don't win. but this guy's never lost in his life. He is so tough and so smart. Devin Nunes. Thank you. Stand up, Devin. Everybody knows it. What they put him through. What these phony people, what these dirty cops and all of the others put you through, and man, you survived it better than ever, and everyone respects you, and even Meadows respects you, and he respects very few people. So thank you, Devin, very much. Great job. Adrian Smith. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you very much. And don't feel, again, you guys are all set. I've introduced you. Not much more for you, but you know. But you're going to hear some great things about China, and you're going to hear some also great things now because
And on
we
that
have a
note,
who's who
I'm with
of the
you.
world.
That is too painful. I think everything looks like it's holding. Isidore, I agree with you 100%. That's too painful for me, even as someone who's been happy with some of the decisions this guy's made. That's, everything looks good. Again, the things that I will be watching, and again, once this speech concludes, I feel better about it. I'm not going to even watch it anymore. Make sure these indices hold. All right. The dollars seems to be making new lows. I would love to see it push through, make some new lows. The euro go on through the close of New York today, making new highs. Australian dollar, Japanese yen looks to be a barometer of a possible entering of a risk on type environment. I'm glad to be taking a poke at that right now. And finally, US dollar, Canadian dollar falling into profit here. Anyone that's riding the Australian dollar, US dollar still, I'm not, but that's a good one to be focused in on. And good day all around. I appreciate everyone, and definitely enjoy the time spending here together. Hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.